tributes are pouring in for former Finance Minister Tito Mboweni, who died in Johannesburg yesterday after a short illness. Well, further details will be shared in the coming days. But for more on the story, we're joined virtually by SABC News Economics Editor Tshepo Mongoai. Tshepo, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, we asked our viewers to share with us some of their fondest recollections and memories of Tito Mboweni. And to so many of people, Tito Mboweni meant, or he was different things to them. To some, he was a former Reserve Bank governor, finance minister, and to some, they know him for his cooking skills. But what kind of a man was Tito Mboweni to you? And you being in the economic space for quite a while now, I'm sure you have crossed paths with him several times. What kind of a man was he to you?
Well, I think he likes to have fun as well at times. But most importantly, I think what was remarkable is when he banned cameras from the Monetary Policy Committee briefings after, of course, you know how especially the print media can be in their selection of pictures depending on the type of stories, that the story that they are trying to portray. Mm-hmm. And I think that was quite remarkable at the time. But I think generally he also came across as someone who really worked very hard in terms of restoring investor confidence in South Africa. And remember, at the time when he was appointed as the governor of the South African Reserve Bank, he was quite young, and he had saved a couple of years, but not more than 5 years, as the Minister of Labour. And at the time, of course, South Africa was facing a number of challenges. We had a huge debt to service. There wasn't much confidence. And in fact, that was part of the reason why the National Party was forced to hand over power to the government of national unity. And there were a lot of criticism that why would a government appoint a politician in that particular position? And I think there was a lot of good work that was achieved. Remember, under his watch, South Africa, of course, achieved that 6% economic growth. Yeah. Although a number of people were quite critical, saying that it was a jobless growth. There were a lot of discussions that indeed that 6% growth needs to factor in ways to ensure that there are enough economic job opportunities that are created. And unfortunately, we've never been able to achieve even half of that growth. 3% is still quite a dream for South Africa. We are still struggling to achieve anything closer to that. And of course, the issue around the shareholders at the Reserve Bank and the nationalization of the Reserve Bank, he had some exchanges with some of the shareholders. Some happened in front of the media. You'll recall his exchange with one of the shareholders, Michael Dill, who went to the bank AGM barefoot and with shorts. And that did not go very well with the governor. And of course, that gave rise to the issue of nationalization of the bank as we know it today. And the fact that Mboweni was the first to defend the privatization of the bank, or ensuring that the bank assets remain under the government, or serve the interest of all South Africans, despite several efforts by some shareholders who had motives to ensure that when they receive their dividends, like in any other company, as shareholder is based on the performance of the bank. If they want to sell those shares, they can actually be rewarded based on their share. But unfortunately, Tito Mboweni was able to defend that stance. There was a lot of money that was spent with the lawyers to ensure that the bank is protected from any attempt by those particular private shareholders, and their plans did not materialize to the very same day. And of course, although there are current talks that the bank should be nationalized, but those private shareholders actually don't have any significant say in the running and the decision making of the South African Reserve Bank.
Now, Tshepo, we know that Tito Mboweni in some circles has been described as a leader with a very unorthodox leadership style. So having said that, do you think that it translated into a very robust leadership skills, especially while he was at the helm of the Treasury?
Well, I think, and I think he has expressed that himself, when you go to institutions like the South African Reserve Bank or National Treasury, you'd probably have your own ideas and thinking. But you do have people who are there who have been in those institutions, yes. And they start to make you aware of certain realities that South Africa is confronted with that one may not be aware from outside. And I think that too, he accepted certain realities once he's inside the bank, that certain things are done in a particular way that they've done. And I think, of course, the issue of transformation, there was some acknowledgement, especially after he had left public office, and he established a company called Mboweni Brothers. And he was at pains to realize in something that he had not been aware of, I suppose, and which he ought to have been aware of, was the struggle of small business to access funding. Because he actually said that, look, as Mboweni Brothers, they've been trying to raise capital, but the banks would not assist them. And I mean, for someone like him, who had a very good relationship with banks, he struggled to access those funding. And he actually went on to say that, laws needs to be changed, and government needs to play a big role through its developmental financiers like your IDC and other institutions to create this grand, if I can call it, state bank to assist small businesses. Okay. It's still a big problem even today.
All right, Tshepo, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for sharing your recollections of Tito Mboweni. All right, joining us virtually was SABC News Economics Editor Tshepo Mongoai, and he's been sharing us, his fondest memories and recollections of Tito Mboweni, and he himself, as having worked in the economic space for a long time, having crossed paths with him several times.